the role of culture in financial literacy and education. And the reason why I ask this is because, in the United States, it's a big part of it. It's a very capitalistic society. And, there's a big push to always educate your friends on, stocks and, wealth and all that kind of stuff. It's part of the culture. In Botswana, for instance, where I grew up, which actually has one of the highest, in fact, the highest financial literacy rate in Africa of all the African countries, it's about 55%. Even there, I didn't really hear too much about, stocks and bonds and investing and those types of things. So I guess my question here is the myth that culture doesn't play a role in financial literacy. What do you say to that? What role have you seen that culture plays in financial education, passing down generational wealth and all those types of things?
If we strip back culture and just use it as the way we do things, if you grow up in a family which has for generations sent their children to Eton, so it's not a question of where you're going. You're going there, and therefore you're going to have friends who are at the top of the tree in terms of top of the military, top of the medical, top of the judiciary, top of journalism. So the way you do things is, that if you have an issue or problem, mummy and daddy's friends or your friend's going to sort it out. So the way that you do things, your culture really does makes that imprint and how you move through society, whether you think you're entitled or not, whether you see an issue and whether you think it can be done or not. For instance, you need 20,000, you need 1 million. Most people will think, they wouldn't even think about that because they wouldn't even know where to start. Whereas if you've been in that track, that privileged track, that culture of entitlement, that's not an issue. So therefore you can dream bigger, you can plan bigger, Now, if you've lived in a hand-to-mouth existence where, it's been success and failure, and if there is a failure, there isn't a cushion. Because being an entrepreneur, there is failure built in. For instance, in my own family, my father actually never went to school beyond 11, but he managed to set up a business, 3 businesses, to finance his 8 children. I'm the eldest of 8. So, he took those risks, he invested, and, in terms of he'd come from nothing, but was savvy enough to make business and found a niche product. Unfortunately, he went bankrupt. There was no cushion for us. But my mother, who was a nurse, knows how to make things work, protected us so that we had our house, we weren't taken into care, we didn't lose everything. But growing up from that culture was, things can just suddenly go. So there was, it wasn't a thought of an inheritance or an allowance, as many of, say, my friends in my private school. I went to private school from when I was 11, so would have that, they were given cars, and I think, my goodness, we had a bike to share between 4 of us. So, it was just like a different world. So your culture, your family setup, and the culture from which you plays a tremendous part in terms of how you view the world and how you therefore think you can impact the world. Now, if education is supposed to be the leveler, which they say it is, I don't think it is, but, if let's say that's what we want it to be, then it should be about unlocking people's minds to what is out there and how things can be done differently, so that we manage debt, that we learn about saving and investment, we learn about coming together and putting in our pot. And I think I'm seeing that actually, especially amongst your generation, like, for instance, the disruption of fintech and, Wealthify and all these kinds of things that you don't have to have, a portfolio of 10,000 to minimum or 25,000 to invest. You could do it with £1. And that way of how technology is democratizing wealth and access to information, I find that really a good thing.